Lieutenant Jace Marin stood at the edge of the viewing deck aboard the Zalari Royal Star Cruiser, staring out at the stars. The great black sea of space shimmered with colors that Earth skies could never show. His reflection looked back at him, faintly in the glass, sharp eyes, short brown hair, a face that had seen both peace talks and close calls. But Jace wasn't thinking about stars or war. He was thinking about her, Princess Valera of Zalari, heir to the Crystal Throne, daughter of Empress Malthine, and the one person in the galaxy who made Jace forget he was just a human envoy. They had worked together for 5 years, ever since Earth was accepted into the Grand Peace Coalition. Jace was chosen as the human representative on her diplomatic team, a choice many questioned. After all, humans were still considered new, wild, unpredictable, but Valera had spoken on his behalf. She had believed in him when no one else did, and that was where it all began. The doors to the deck slid open behind him. He didn't need to turn around to know who it was. Her presence always brought a slight warmth to the cold ship, like the glow of a sunrise through frost. "Lieutenant Marin," she said, her voice soft but clear, "you always find the quiet places." Jace turned and smiled politely. "Helps me think, Your Highness." Valera approached with light steps. Her long violet robe shimmered faintly, and her silver-blue skin seemed to reflect the stars. A thin circlet rested on her forehead, marking her status. But she never wore it to impress. She wore it because it was expected. "You may call me Valera, Jace," she said gently. "I've told you many times." "And I've told you many times," he replied with a small grin. "I like staying employed." She laughed, a soft sound that echoed like a chime. "You're still as careful as the day we met." Jace leaned against the railing and looked at her properly. "And you're still as fearless." Valera tilted her head, amused. "You think I'm fearless? You've walked into more war rooms and faced more angry ambassadors than I can count. That takes courage." She walked beside him, her arms folded behind her back. For a while, they simply stood there watching a nearby nebula swirl in slow motion. Jace wished time would stop just for a little while. "You're quiet today," Valera said finally. "Something troubles you?" He hesitated. Should he tell her? No, not yet. How could he? She was royalty. He was a soldier turned diplomat. And though they had shared laughter, stories, and even danger, he still didn't know what she truly felt. "No trouble," he lied. "Just thinking." Valera narrowed her eyes slightly. "You're always thinking." They both smiled at that. Suddenly a voice echoed through the intercom. "Attention! Princess Valera and Lieutenant Marin report to the briefing chamber. Mission update incoming." Valera sighed. "Duty calls." As they walked side by side toward the chamber, Jace's heart pounded harder. Not from fear, but from regret. He'd had years, moments like this, times he could have told her. But he had stayed silent, thinking it was safer. He glanced sideways at her as they entered the hallway. Valera walked with grace, her gaze calm, her mind always a few steps ahead. He admired her, respected her, and loved her. Yes. That was the truth he had never spoken. He had loved her for years. But he had never told her, and with a dangerous mission ahead, and talks with the Ravari, a species known for deception and ambush, he knew time might be running out. Inside the chamber, the hologram table flickered to life. The image of a spinning moon appeared, Sarvex, a neutral moon where the peace summit was to be held. Tensions were high. Rumors of sabotage had already reached them. Valera studied the map calmly, her hand resting on the console. Jace, standing just beside her, felt the weight of what was unsaid pressing on his chest. Maybe, he thought, before this mission ends, I should tell her, even if she says nothing back, even if it changes everything. Because sometimes silence speaks louder than any war, and love, especially the quiet kind, deserved to be heard. Before it was too late, the star cruiser, Zilari Royal, made its slow approach to Sarvex, the neutral moon chosen for the upcoming peace summit. Its surface was covered in strange forests glowing softly with bioluminescent plants, and wide crystal lakes reflected the faint light of the distant suns. Princess Valera stood by the large viewport, arms crossed, her silver-blue skin seeming to absorb the moon's soft glow. Lieutenant Jace Marin joined her quietly, sensing the weight of the moment on her shoulders. "This mission is more dangerous than it looks," Valera said without turning. Jace nodded. "The Ravari have a reputation for tricks and traps. They won't come in peace if it serves their interests." Valera's violet eyes locked on his. "That's why we must be ready. But I believe peace is possible." Jace admired her hope. It was not naive, it was strong. The Zilari had fought many wars, yet Valera dreamed of something better for her people. And for Earth. "We'll stand together," he said quietly. "Whatever happens, I'm with you." She finally smiled, a rare soft smile that made Jace's heart beat faster. "Thank you, Jace. Your support means more than you know." The ship landed on Sarvex's smooth landing platform, surrounded by tall, crystalline towers that shimmered like stars caught in ice. The peace summit would take place in the Grand Hall of the Celestial Council, a place known for its strict neutrality and ancient laws. As the delegation disembarked, Valera led the way with quiet confidence. Jace followed, careful not to appear too eager, but his eyes never left her. He had learned to read her moods, small gestures, and silent thoughts. He knew she felt the pressure, not just from the Ravari threat, but from her own people's expectations. That evening, after the first round of talks, Jace and Valera found themselves alone in a small garden courtyard behind the council chambers. Strange plants with soft glowing leaves surrounded them, casting gentle light. Valera looked up at the twin moons hanging low in the sky. "Sometimes I wonder if peace is worth the cost." Jace stepped closer. "You mean the risk? The chance of war?" She nodded slowly. "Our people expect me to be strong, to rule with iron if needed. But inside, I want more. I want a future where my people don't live in fear." Jace's heart ached at her words. "You don't have to face it alone." She turned to him, eyes searching. "And you? I've seen war. I've lost friends. But I believe peace is the only path worth fighting for." For a moment they stood silently, sharing a quiet hope. Then, Jace surprised himself by asking, "Valera, have you ever thought about what comes after this mission, after all the politics?" Her eyes widened slightly, and for a second, Jace thought she might speak of duty or future alliances. But instead she said softly, "Sometimes I dream of simple things, a home, a family, a life without crowns or crowns to bear." Jace's breath caught. That dream was one he shared too, but dared not voice. Instead, he smiled gently. "Maybe someday we could find that life." Valera studied him with a strange look, a mix of hope and something deeper. Before either could say more, an urgent call came through the ship's communicator. "Lieutenant Marin, Princess Valera, please return immediately. Security breach detected in the summit area." The peaceful moment shattered. Jace and Valera exchanged a quick glance before hurrying back toward the council. The grand hall was in chaos. Council guards were rushing, and voices rose in alarm. Valera pushed through to the central chamber where the summit was to be held. A Ravari envoy stood angrily, accusing the Zilari delegation of sabotage. Jace listened carefully. The Ravari claimed that the Zilari had tampered with the summit systems to spy on them. It was a lie, but a dangerous one. Valera stepped forward calmly. "These accusations are false. Our people seek peace, not conflict," the Ravari envoy sneered. "Your actions speak louder than words, Princess." Jace noticed the tension, rising like a storm ready to break. The accusation could destroy the fragile alliance before it began. Valera turned to Jace. "We must prove our innocence." Together, they worked with the Council's security team, reviewing data logs and surveillance. Jace's sharp mind caught a pattern of sabotage that pointed not to the Zalari, but to a third party, someone trying to ignite war. As the truth came out, the Rivari envoy grew quiet, forced to retreat their accusations. Valera's voice was steady as she addressed the room. Let this be a warning. Peace requires trust, and lies will only bring destruction. The delegates murmured, some nodding in agreement, others wary. Later, as the hall emptied, Valera turned to Jace. This mission will test us in ways we cannot imagine. Jace met her gaze, steady and sure. Whatever happens, we face it together. Valera smiled, a flicker of warmth in her eyes. I'm glad you're here. Jace's heart swelled with hope and fear. Hope that peace could be won. Fear that the dangers were far from over. As the night deepened over Sarvex, they stood side by side, ready to face whatever came next. The bioluminescent garden on Sarvex was quiet that night. Soft lights from glowing plants cast gentle shadows on the stone paths. The twin moons hung low in the sky, their pale light shimmering through the leaves. Princess Valera and Lieutenant Jace Marin walked side by side, their footsteps almost silent. Since the tenth summit, the air between them felt heavier, full of things unsaid and feelings carefully hidden. Jace had carried a secret in his heart for years, and tonight, he finally knew he could no longer keep it inside. They stopped near a small fountain, water trickling softly into a clear pool. Jace looked at Valera. Her violet eyes reflected the moon's light. For a moment, he forgot about politics, danger, and duty. Valera, he began, his voice low but steady. There's something I have to tell you. Something I've kept inside for too long. She turned to him, curious, waiting. He took a deep breath. I've loved you for years. The words hung in the air like a fragile crystal. Valera's eyes widened. For a moment, she said nothing. Then a smile broke across her face. A soft, genuine smile that warmed Jace's heart. You fool, she whispered, laughter in her voice. I've been waiting for you to say that since the day we met. Jace blinked, stunned. You knew? She nodded slowly. I saw the way you looked at me. The way you stayed close, even when it was dangerous. I felt it too, but I was afraid. Afraid? Jace repeated. Of many things, Valera said. Of losing my people's trust. Of risking the fragile peace. And of what it would mean to love a human when our worlds are so different. Jace stepped closer, reaching out gently to take her hand. Love is what makes us strong, he said softly. Not weak. Valera's fingers closed around his. I never thought it could be like this, she said. That someone from another world could see me, not just as a princess, but as a person. Jace smiled. I see you, Valera. All of you. The moment felt perfect and impossible at once. But just as their hands tightened, a distant alarm broke the silence. The Peace Summit's security system had detected a new threat. Valera's eyes sharpened. We can't let anything ruin this. Jace nodded, his heart steady but ready. Together, they left the garden, stepping into the unknown, united. By more than duty now, bound by a love that might change the galaxy. Back inside the summit's secure chambers, Princess Valera led Lieutenant Jace Marin to a private room hidden behind tall, crystal walls. The soft hum of distant negotiations drifted through the corridor, but here, the air was still, heavy with secrets. Valera's expression was serious as she turned to Jace. There's something I've never told anyone outside my family. Jace waited, attentive. She paused, then spoke quietly. I am not only the princess of Zalari, I am also part of an ancient prophecy. Jace blinked. A prophecy? Valera nodded. Long ago, our people believed a time would come when the fate of the galaxy would depend on a bond between a Zalari royal and a human companion. She reached out to a glowing panel on the wall, and a holographic image appeared. A shimmering symbol of intertwined stars, one blue, one silver. This prophecy is why my mother, the Empress, has kept me closely guarded. And why our alliance with Earth is so important? Jace stared at the symbol, feeling the weight of history and hope pressing down on them. Do you believe this prophecy? He asked. Valira's eyes shone with quiet certainty. I must. It explains why our meeting was more than chance, why I feel connected to you in ways I cannot explain. Jace swallowed hard. The thought that their years of working together were part of something larger made his heart race. But there's a danger, she said. If the wrong people learn of this, they will try to stop it. They fear change. They fear the future. Jace understood. Enemies within your court? Valira nodded. Some want to keep power for themselves. They see humans as threats. They will do anything to break this bond. Jace's mind raced. If their love was part of a prophecy, then it was more than personal. It was a key to peace or war. Then we must protect it, he said firmly. Together. Valira smiled softly, reaching for his hand again. I'm glad you are by my side. Suddenly the door chimed softly. A messenger entered with a tablet. Princess Security has detected suspicious activity near the summits, lower levels. It may be connected to the recent sabotage attempts. Valira's face hardened. We cannot afford another attack. Jace nodded. I'll join the security teams and help investigate. Valira placed a gentle hand on his arm. Be careful, Jace. He met her eyes and promised. I will. As he left, Jace felt a new sense of purpose. Their love was no longer just a secret. It was a force that might shape the future of two worlds. The bright corridors of the Grand Hall buzzed with tension. Lieutenant Jace Marin moved swiftly alongside the Zilari security officers, his eyes scanning every corner for signs of danger. The recent warnings of sabotage had turned the peaceful summit into a place of suspicion and guarded watchfulness. Jace's mind was racing. Who could be behind these attacks? And what did they hope to gain by destroying the fragile peace between Zilari and the Ravari? Suddenly, a loud alarm echoed through the hall, and voices shouted. Jace pushed through the crowd to see what had happened. In the center of the chamber, a Ravari envoy stood accusingly, pointing at Princess Valira. You have tampered with the summit systems, the envoy shouted in a harsh tone. You seek to spy on us and steal our secrets. Gasps and murmurs spread through the crowd. Valira's face remained calm, but determined. These accusations are false. We seek peace, not conflict. Jace stepped forward, his voice firm. I've reviewed the data logs. The sabotage was not from the Zilari side, the Ravari envoy sneered. You defend your princess blindly. Before more could be said, a sudden explosion rocked the building. The floor trembled beneath their feet, and sparks flew from damaged consoles. Chaos erupted. Security teams rushed to contain the damage and evacuate the delegates. In the confusion, Jace spotted a figure slipping away into the shadows. Without hesitation, he pursued. The chase took him through narrow hallways and twisting passages until finally, Jace cornered the person, a Zilari noble known for opposing the alliance with Earth. Why are you doing this? Jace demanded. The noble sneered. Because our people will never accept a human at the throne. This alliance is a threat to our way of life. Jace's heart sank. The enemy was not just external, it was within. Suddenly, the noble lunged, but Jace was ready. Using quick reflexes, he subdued the traitor and signaled for guards. Back in the Grand Hall, Valira stood before the stunned crowd, her voice strong and clear. Today we faced betrayal, not from without, but from within. Let this be a lesson. Peace requires trust and courage. She turned to Jace and smiled, her eyes shining. Thank you for standing by me. Jace felt a rush of pride and relief. Later, as the summit resumed, Jace and Valira worked closely to rebuild trust between the delegations. Their partnership became a symbol of unity. But the danger was not over. That night, as they prepared to rest, Valira whispered to Jace, This mission is more than politics. It is our future. Jace nodded. And I will protect you no matter the cost. They stood together, ready to face the challenges ahead, united in purpose and heart. The peace summit had barely resumed when the alarm sounded again. This time, signaling an attack. The Ravari had launched a surprise assault on the station. Explosions rocked the hallways, lights flickered, and smoke filled the air. Princess Valera stood firm, rallying her guards and delegates. "Protect the council and—" "Civilians!" she ordered. "We must hold the line." Lieutenant Jace Marin joined the defense, coordinating with Zilari soldiers and human security forces. Their teamwork was seamless, combining human strategy with Zilari technology. As the Ravari forces advanced through the corridors, Jace and Valera fought side by side. Jace admired her courage as she directed the defense, calm and decisive despite the danger. At one point, Valera was caught in a blast and thrown back against a wall. Jace was immediately by her side, shielding her from further harm. "Are you all right?" he asked, concern clear in his voice. She nodded, brushing dust from her robes. "Thanks to you." The battle raged on. Ravari troops breached the central chamber, forcing Jace and Valera into a desperate last stand. Using a combination of human tactics and Zilari energy shields, they managed to push the attackers back. Jace noticed a large Ravari commander leading the assault, a fierce warrior known for brutality. He locked eyes with the commander and charged forward. The fight was intense, but Jace's determination and training gave him the edge. With a final move, he subdued the commander, ending the assault. The Ravari forces retreated, leaving the station battered but standing. Exhausted but victorious, Valera and Jace looked around at the recovering delegates. Valera smiled tiredly. "We did it. Together." Jace smiled back. "There's no one else I'd rather fight beside." Their bond had grown stronger through battle, more than duty, more than alliance. It was trust, respect, and a growing love that could no longer be denied. As calm returned, Valera turned to Jace. "The galaxy is watching us now. Our unity is a message they cannot ignore." Jace nodded. "Let them see that together, humans and Zilari can achieve peace." They stood side by side, ready for the future, whatever it might bring. The summit chamber was filled with anticipation. Delegates from many worlds gathered, their eyes fixed on Princess Valera and Lieutenant Jace Marin standing before them. The long weeks of tension, danger, and uncertainty had led to this moment, a turning point for the Zilari Empire and Earth's place among the stars. Valera's voice was calm but full of conviction as she addressed the assembly. "My people have waited for peace, for unity, for a future beyond fear," she said. "But peace cannot be built by one alone, it requires partnership." She looked toward Jace and smiled warmly. "Today I offer not only my hand but my crown, shared with one who has stood by me through every trial, Lieutenant Jace Marin of Earth." A hush fell over the room. Jace's heart pounded, but he met the gaze of the delegate steadily. He stepped forward and spoke with quiet strength. "I have loved Princess Valera for years, not just as a leader, but as a person, brave, wise, and true. Together we will work to build a galaxy where all can live in peace." Murmurs spread among the delegates, some surprised, others hopeful. Valera continued, "I understand this is a change from tradition, but the future demands new paths. If you still accept me as your ruler, then I ask you to accept Jace as my partner." A respected elder Zilari stepped forward and nodded. "The princess speaks with wisdom. The galaxy must move forward, and unity is our strength." One by one, other delegates voiced their agreement. Jace felt a warmth spreading through him, a mixture of pride, relief, and joy. After the formal ceremony, Valera and Jace stood on a balcony overlooking the city of Zilari Prime. The stars sparkled, above promising a new beginning. Valera turned to Jace, her eyes shining softly. "Do you still love me?" He took her hands gently. "I've loved you for years, Valera, and I always will." She smiled, leaning closer. Together they faced the future, a future forged by courage, love, and hope.